Welcome. If you do not know me or if you are new to my account, hello, I'm Carla. I am an adult sleep coach and I am passionate about helping sleep deprived humans elevate their health and their happiness. And specifically, really interested in helping women in this 40 plus age group, this perimenopausal age group. Sarah is a endurance athlete. She is an endurance coach as well for 40 plus women. She's an Ironman and she's as I said, an endurance athlete. So she actually swam 30 kilometers just a couple of weeks ago. So she is freaking incredible. Here we go. We did it.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Also, learning a new bit of technology.
I know, right? Well, I only did my first one a few weeks ago, and I even that time, I know I had to invite Tanya a couple of times, so I was expecting that, but that's okay. I mean, you're also like way over the other side of the world, so maybe there's some like cross ocean stuff happening. I don't know.
Or maybe I'm just technically challenged. I don't know.
Nah, it's all good. I was just giving a little bit of an intro about you and what you do, and I was just saying, telling everyone that you swam 30 kilometers a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of my clients is online. Hello, Anne. Anna. Hello, good morning.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Kirtana from India. Sorry.
Actually, yeah, I should have also said what I didn't say in the intro was that you coach and work out of Dubai and Spain.
That's right.
Yeah. So do you have clients actually located in both locations, or do they follow you to Spain when you get over there? Or a bit of both?
Yeah. No, I have clients here, I have clients in Spain, and I have online clients. So I have a client in India as well. So yeah.
Global, I love it. And that's essentially how we met as well, because I was going to start training triathlon and
yes.
40 plus woman, I was like so conscious of making sure that I was doing the appropriate training for my age and my, because I know there's a whole lot of different stuff that we need to work on. So yeah, and we used to catch up, what, weekly, fortnightly?
Yeah,
I don't know, it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, weekly.
But it works really well, right? So I love that you can like coach globally, even for a sport like triathlon.
Yes.
Well, should we jump in?
Yes, let's talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a few notes here, but I feel like we'll just chit chat and conscious of time, we'll keep it to sort of like 15 to 20 minutes because everyone's busy, obviously. So Sarah, can you tell me a little bit about your journey as an endurance athlete and how that experience sort of impacted or led to your own coaching of other women that were sort of 40 plus? How does that sort of all relate?
Oof, okay. So it kind of all started in the early, 2001, when I became a diving instructor. So I was teaching diving instruction full-time for the best part of 4 years, and then I was doing it on weekends when I moved to Dubai and so on. And then I noticed that as I was talking to ladies about coming diving, and then I started teaching a few ladies, a lot of them didn't want to be on the dive boat with other men for cultural reasons. And sometimes, even as not a lady from the Emirates, I get that sometimes. It's just nice to hang out with a bunch of ladies on a dive boat. You don't have to worry about what your bikini's doing, if something's popped out or what's showing or what's not showing. And I thought, well, here's a little gap. So for 10 years in Dubai, I had a little company called Divas in Dubai, and basically I just taught female scuba diving. And then I was a free diver as well. And then one of my friends said to me, if you want to go deeper, you need to start cycling, because I was experiencing quite a lot of weakness in the thighs and I was really struggling to get to depth and so on. So I started cycling. And then a friend of mine said, oh, I'm doing a triathlon. And I'm like, what's that? She said, oh, you should do one. So swim, bike, run, did my first one in 2012. And subsequently also met my husband. And so scuba diving kind of dropped off the thing because, well, he didn't dive and, you know, you haven't got time to do it all. And then I thought, well, I'm really enjoying this endurance journey. Perhaps I could look into coaching at some point. So it was 2017. I decided to go down the coaching route just purely because I enjoyed it. And also I thought there is a need for women to have a safe space where we can talk about our stuff. And coaching women is different to coaching men. I do have some male clients, and the treatment is different. You know, some women have children, some don't have children. Some women have menopause, some don't have menopause. Some women have lost their children. You know, so we have many different kinds of women from different arenas of life, and that's what makes it very spicy.
Yeah. Oh, I
Sorry,
love that.
I rambled a lot.
No. This is so good because I didn't know all of this. I always forget that you used to be a free diver, and as you're talking, I'm like, we're quite similar with our, you know, because I dived a lot in Cayman and I did my free diving as well. So, you know, maybe that's why we get on so well. Got some, never got to the point where I was a dive instructor, but I did get up to rescue diver. But never wanted to do it as a job, more just as a hobby. Responsibility of people under the water, just a little bit too full on for me.
Oh, right. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. And
I can imagine.
I love taking people into the water. That's kind of like, of the three disciplines, I think open water swimming is my absolute favorite. And when someone comes to me and goes, no, I don't want to come swimming because I'm too scared, that's the client that I want.
Yeah. Well, that's where you're really making a difference, isn't it? You're helping people get over their fears, and, you know, showing someone the love of the ocean is, I mean, I just think it's amazing. So, yeah, no, that's very cool. Did you sort of decide to target or I guess primarily work with 40 plus women because you were in that similar age group, or was there another reason?
Yes, that's a good question. So I was training with a tri team called Pirates. The coach was Kevin, who's still a very good friend of mine. He lives in the UK now. And the Pirates kind of all disbanded when Kevin left the country. And I wanted to continue doing triathlon. And sneakily, I thought, well, if I do coaching, it means I could do group sessions, which then forces me into training, and then I don't become lazy. So it's kind of like, it's like it was a little bit all about me in the beginning.
You just build,
and then I started
your own team to train with. I love it.
It's kind of like there's a lot of accountability as a coach. So if you're not doing what you're preaching, then it's kind of like, all right. I'm not saying that coaches have to be podium athletes or super women or anything like that, but at least you've got to pull your weight as well. Anyway. What was the question? Yes, about women. So at that time, I think I was about 46, 47. And I was really then in the height of perimenopause. I put on 10 kilos. I was not in a good way. And, you know, fortunately for me, I had a very supportive husband who read and listened all about menopause. So he's your male expert now because he's heard it all. And I explained to him everything that was going on in my body and what was not happening and what was not working and everything else. And I'd also, during that year, shaved my head to donate my hair for cancer for a friend who passed away. So my body image was awful. I had hair this short, which there's nothing wrong with that. It was lovely when it was really short, and then it got to that length where it just looked terrible. So I had terrible looking hair because I was growing it out. I was overweight, and I was like, God, what's happened to you? And so I thought, this is where you need to start garnering in women who are very possibly going through the same thing, not necessarily looking bad, but feeling bad about themselves. You know, my husband said, you don't look as bad as you say, but that's how you feel, and no one can change that until you work on seeing what's really going on. So looking in the mirror on a daily basis wasn't the best thing, but exercise, regular exercise, and setting yourself targets and improving my nutrition was where it was at, and sleep. Go.
Come on.
It's funny that
Yeah,
we're online tonight. I've had 3 perfect nights of sleep, and last night, 3 a.m. I was awake. So we can talk about that just now. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. So yes, and I've gone way off the topic,
no,
probably.
no. I mean, I love going off on tangents, so this is perfect for me. And if anyone doesn't like it, they'll drop off. It's all good. I love that, and I'm interested to know when you sort of thought about starting to kind of, I guess, build this community of women who were potentially going through the same thing. Did you find that a lot of women were sort of out there struggling, but not really knowing that it was related to this thing called menopause?
Yeah, no one was talking about it. In fact,
Yeah.
one of my friends, Shannon, she's not online today, but I will send her a hi later. She said to me that in the UAE, I was one of the first people to actually mention the word menopause online, and people were like, "Oh, you can't talk about dry vaginas, no!" And it's like, yes, I absolutely can, because if you're suffering down there, riding a bike can be extremely painful and uncomfortable. Bike shorts can become extremely painful and uncomfortable. If you are not getting any sleep, waking up for training is really hard. If you are gaining weight, then of course you don't want to get into the Lycra because you think you look fat or you look terrible. There's a myriad of things, and no one menopausal woman is the same. And thank you for the little comment, Kishni. It was great teaching you just being within the water. And you can't put menopausal women in a box and say this is how they need to be coached, this is how they need to live their life, because I've not met a single woman who has exactly the same symptoms.
Yeah, it's completely, that's part of the problem, right? It's completely unique. I remember ages ago, and you would know this better than me, I feel like I heard that there was a list of like 100 menopause symptoms.
Mm-hmm. So when you go
And,
to the doctor now in the UAE, they ask you to do a checklist every time.
yeah.
Every time you go to the same gynecologist. And this is not the gynecologist doing it, this is the health authority. And so now, because I've been on HRT since 2017, and I feel fantastic. But this was all part of my Getting Better program. I'm doing the tick box. No, 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 no. So no heart disease, no diabetes, no obesity, no, and I'm thinking, I worked hard to be this way. It doesn't mean I'm the perfect woman in menopause. I'm on the other side now, 55 years old. But the journey was fun, because when you start seeing the results and you start feeling better because you're putting in the work, you've got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, right? So you mentioned that you're on HRT. I've just started HRT as well, just a really low level. But I am so aware that it's those lifestyle factors that are really going to make or break this transition, right? So I mean, as you can imagine, so dialed in on my sleep, actually pretty dialed in on my training as well, to be honest. Oh, my notes just ran away. Oh, well, we'll have to ad-lib. Nutrition for me probably needs a little bit of work, but those lifestyle factors, just vital. Did you know?
So my husband was, go on, sorry.
No, you go.
No, talking about nutrition. So my husband's cardiologist said, try to have your evening meal around 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. And my Chinese doctor in Dubai, who treated my asthma successfully on herbs, said the same thing. Because then if you're going to bed around 8:30, 9:30, which is where I try to go to bed every night, you're not going to bed on a full stomach, and your stomach's not trying to do the work and all the digestion. And he also said, and she also said, it's better for your heart and your blood pressure. So those are one of the things that I try to follow. And living here in Spain, everyone's eating at 11 p.m. I'm sitting outside on my patio at 6:30 with my dinner, and my neighbour's looking out the window, and they talk to you all the time. It's lovely. She goes, "Are you having a snack?" I said, no, this is my dinner. No, don't put it on door. Like, she's like 85. So early. I'm like, yeah, you should try it sometime.
But it's
And I think part of the lack of sleep is that I'm trying to get to sleep at 9:30 and everyone else is driving up and down the street going to dinner. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
country cultures are vary.
Yeah, I mean, this is just another sign that I need to come and train with you in Spain, because I will absolutely have those early dinners with you. In fact, I might even suggest that we have a 5:30 dinner.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
to the timing point, absolutely, we want to be eating ideally no later than a couple of hours before bed. Depending on the person, it might be even earlier. And that is simply because when you eat late, your body is going to prioritize digestion over the stuff that it should be doing when we sleep. So yeah, it does make a big difference for people that can actually kind of work that into their lifestyle. I was chatting to a client recently who runs his own business, and I think he finishes with his last client at, I think it was like 6 p.m. So by the time he gets home and has dinner, it's sort of 7:30, and then he's trying to go to bed at 8:30. And I was sort of working with him to say, hey, you know, ideally it'd be moving dinner forward a little bit. How does that sit with you? He's like, it's not possible. But for people that do have schedules like that where they get home late, another idea can be to have split dinner in half. So have, you know, a late snack at, I don't know, maybe it's 4 o'clock, and then have a really small dinner at that later time, because even tweaking it a little bit like that will probably make a little bit of difference as well.
And the amount of people that tell me, athletes, you know, alcohol really helps with the sleep. I know personally, because I'm in Spain, you know, with every meal, my sister-in-law came around for lunch the other day. I was planning to have a dry week and she brings a bottle of wine. I'm like,
that's
okay.
right. You told me you were having a dry week.
You know, all right, I'll have a glass of wine. That's fine. Don't overdo it. But that was at midday. So that evening, I actually slept well, but we didn't finish the bottle because we're good like that. And then last night, I'd been painting my kitchen all afternoon. So I didn't train yesterday, but I did lots of this movement, you know, with a brush and the roller. And then I'd showered, sat down. The house reeks of paint. I've got all the windows open. I thought, you know what? I'm going to have a little bit of that wine. And it's only like 200 ml. And I'm sat there and I put some ice in it to water it down because like that helps. And I'm pretty sure that is the cause of my disturbed sleep last night. Because I remember you said to me in our last coaching session, if you're going to have a drink, try to have it like at lunchtime. So by the time it's
breakfast.
Was it red wine for breakfast?
But yeah,
No.
the earlier the better. The earlier, and I'm not condoning day drinking or breakfast drinking, but the further away from sleep it is, the less impact it'll have. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cyclists are pulling in the local bar coffee shop is 100 meters from my house. And there are mountain bikers and road cyclists there all day. But from 9 a.m., they are coming, they've probably done 50K already. They sit, they've got a bottle of cognac on the table and their black coffee. And they've still got to ride home. And this is it's customary. And for them, it's just normal. I'm just thinking, imagine in Dubai, if you went to a coffee shop and said, can you put a cognac in my 9 a.m. coffee? It's like,
gosh, yeah.
It's normal.
I'm going to change tact. I'm going to change tact a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about the tweaks that someone might need to make in their training when they're sort of getting to this sort of perimenopause, menopause age? Is there sort of some brief kind of things that you can touch on?
Yeah. So over the years, I've read up on several theories from different sports physiologists. So Dr. Stacey Sims was kind of like the one who you saw the most marketing from, but there are lots of other doctors who are kind of in the background that haven't been so prolific in their marketing. And if you dig online, you can find their research. And my favorite one is Dr. Gemma Sampson, who's Australian, and she did her PhD in Girona, which is up the road here, 3 hours away from here. And she specializes in sports nutrition. But along with her nutrition coaching comes a lot of tips. And with I did one of her courses, and I realized that as perimenopausal or even menopausal women, we are often eating far too much. So we are fueling for rides for sometimes fuel that we're not consuming. And she did a whole test of what you could ideally have for breakfast before training, what you would eat on the bike, for example, and then after training, how you refuel your body. And this is key. So I noticed that, like, on weekends in Dubai, everyone goes to the cycle path. You know, it's 160 odd kilometers long.
Wow.
And then they all collaborate in the coffee shop afterwards, and it's highly social. And people are having massive milkshakes. They're having the Arabic manakish with cheese, which is probably about 400 calories. And then probably then going home and then having breakfast. So if they've done like a long, slow ride, so say 50K or 100K, maybe they've burned, I don't know, athletes vary, but it depends on the intensity. But you could probably bank on 50 to 80 calories, grams of carbohydrates for each hour of that training. So if you imagine then they had a banana or a slice of toast with a banana and peanut butter before the ride, and then they rode for a 90 minutes, and then they had one of these like gels, high sugar, whatever. And then they sit down and have the cheese manakish, and then they go home and they meet up with their friends for breakfast, and they have eggs Benedict and that. So you can see now how all this is accumulating. And then they text me and they go, I just can't lose any weight. I've been training so much. And I always say to them, do me a food diary. People don't want to give me a food diary. So don't give me a food diary, because then they realize that they are eating way too much than they realize. So that is one of the things. You really have to count what you are eating. So I used MyFitnessPal. I use it like on and off. I'll do a 3-week stint and I monitor everything I eat against my training, and then I get back on the straight and narrow. And then I know how much its portion sizes. So it's not like counting every single calorie, and if at the end of the day you're 20 calories over, you're like, oh, it's not like that at all, because there's no exact science. Your smartwatch can tell you you've burned 250, and your breakfast will say you've eaten 300. You know, people talk about, you know, being calorie deficit. Yeah, well, let's not go there. It's you're trying. I mean, you're looking at portions. So I would say perimenopause, menopause, training tips are watch your nutrition more so, and also train one day, train harder the next day, and then the third day you can train but do a recovery. So it's kind of like 2 days on and then 1 day off. So often women aren't giving themselves enough recovery time, and they're at it. I've seen it with some athletes. Their coaches are giving them 7 days straight, 10 to 12 hours, and they're not even training for a full Ironman. And then, you know, and then they're online and they're going, I'm absolutely exhausted. I can't sleep. My body hurts. I'm thinking, okay, well, that's unsurprising, but, you know, you really have to look at how many hours you're putting in, but recovery is key. What else did you ask me for more training?
That was the tweaks that someone might need to make as they were sort of moving into this sort of season of life. Yeah. But I think so essentially it's sort of tweaking that training, focusing on recovery. We're going to include sleep in that bucket, and really focusing on the nutrition. And interestingly, when you were sort of talking about that, I think there's a couple of things to unpack there with the nutrition. I mean, as someone who was training triathlon, you know, it's almost like a good excuse to be able to eat all of the delicious things because you've just done a 2-hour training session. But also I think sometimes it's nice to just be blissfully unaware and just enjoy it. But I'm like you, I don't track my food very often anymore. I did years ago when I was trying to build a lot of muscle, but I like to jump back in and track it for a couple of weeks just to see where I'm sitting, because you know, you do really kind of lose that perspective of how much you're actually eating. Like I don't even know what I've eaten today, so I'll just keep eating whenever I feel like it. So I think it is a good idea to just kind of look at that if you are someone that's kind of struggling with that weight, because you can do all the exercise in the world, but if you're still eating too much. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
Dr.
really going to help.
Sampson says, sorry, love.
Yeah.
Dr. Jim Sampson says something really good, which is fuel for the what's required. That's
Yeah,
it.
I like that.
That's it. That's all you have to do. So if you're on an easy day,
Yeah.
don't eat like you're training for an ultra.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, easy day, you know, have your salads and your vegetables. And if you know, I'm not vegetarian, but I have meat and vegetables or chicken and veg, or if you're having your lentils or whatever it is, but just everything in moderation. And you don't have to give up stuff. You just have to limit it. So if you've got a heavy training week and then one night you say, no, I'm going to have a couple of squares of dark chocolate, that's not going to break the bank. In fact, some studies show that dark chocolate can help you to sleep. Does that true, Carla? Does dark chocolate help you to sleep?
Well, so chocolate does have a small amount of caffeine in it. So, but there is also, oh my gosh, there is some other stuff in it which is good, but I can't remember the names off the top of my head. So it would be
brain fog.
Yeah. Well, no, not anymore now that I'm on the HRT. But I think it would be a case by case basis. So if typically when I'm working with clients, we talk about all of the caffeine and the stimulants and whatnot. And if someone is coming to me already not sleeping well, and they're eating chocolate at night, I will suggest that they stop it. But that's not to say that someone that's sleeping well can't have a little bit of chocolate.
Yeah.
It's individual, right?
And then another training tweak before I forget. I'm sorry to interrupt you again.
No,
Strength training, ladies. Strength training. You've got to be doing your strength training. And if you can't get out and run because it's too hot or you've got home late, go into the garage and do 5 sets of 2 minutes of kettlebell swings, for example. But you don't skip strength training. If you have to skip a training session because you can't get to the pool, get in the garage and lift some weights. Have some weights at home.
Such good advice. And you know, I listened to the Huberman podcast recently with Dr. Marie Claire, and she was talking about some studies where they're just looking at women wearing weight vests, like not even super heavy ones. I think it was about 5 kilos, just to help build that bone density. So just wearing a weight vest while you're doing the cleaning and whatnot, just to help a little bit with that bone density as well.
Yeah. And gardening. So I mean, you know, if you've got a garden, when you're doing stuff, do squats. My neighbors must think I'm mad. You know, I'm rolling up the hose pipe and I'm doing a sumo squat.
I love it.
And, I lift my bucket, my paint bucket, and I'm flexing. They must think I'm a real show off. But this is it. It's like trying to, and I'm on the ladder and I'm doing calf raises with my toes on the rungs of the ladder, which I fell off yesterday. My husband was not pleased. He's like, you're out in the house, don't do the high level stuff. I'm like, he's right. But yes, there is so much that you can do to increase your strength at home without having to actually drive to the gym.
And it's functional fitness, right? You're actually doing the stuff, the day-to-day stuff that you enjoy. I love it. Elsa was just saying that she's doing her strength in her bathroom, her strength training plus yoga training. Love it.
Oh, wow.
Love it. Get out there and do some weights, ladies. It's not scary. It's actually really fun. And you won't get super muscly. I've been weight training for millions of years and I've still got no muscles. So
I want to hear more about this bathroom strength training. I'm sorry, I've just flicked up to read the messages. And,
there you go. All right.
Yeah. So
I'll see you.
also, we'd love to hear about that. Do a little post and tag us so we can see what you're doing. That's
Tell us more, Elsa, and we'll continue chatting. And then when your comment comes up, we'll chat about it. Okay. So conscious of time. If you were to go back and chat to your 30-something self or maybe your early 40 self, is there any advice that you would give that woman? And I mean, really what I'm saying is, what advice would you give women that are sort of moving into this season of life?
Yeah. So it's funny you asked that. Yesterday, I actually spoke with a potential client who's 35 and she has a 4-year-old son. And I said to her that from the age of 35, that's when things start going south. It's not a great thought, but it's true. From the age of about 35, you start losing a lot of bone density. And I think between the age of 40 and 50, you lose about 30% of your bone density, which comes back to that strength training thing I was banging on about earlier. You need to be doing your weights. When I was that age, so early 30s, mid 35s, I was lugging maybe 100 scuba tanks down the dock every day,
You were doing your
taking
strength training.
empty, bringing back the falls. I had shoulders like there was no tomorrow. So find something that you enjoy doing that keeps you active, that involves using some strength. Not everyone, some people hate the gym. Some people don't want to go to the gym. They don't like it. My suggestion would to be is find an activity that you love doing. Hiking. So hiking up, that's plyometric. So we need to be doing plyometrics.
Yep.
Hiking, jumping, parkour is a good one. I saw a woman on Instagram the other day who's my age, who started parkour only 3 years ago and has learned how to jump, roll. Incredible, right? So
Amazing.
it's even if you're 30 and you've never done sport, you've never played any sport in your entire life, it's not too late to start. But find something that you love doing. Otherwise, it becomes a pain and then you don't want to do it. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, and that's such
I'm
good
up
advice.
again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good advice, right? Because I mean, I've been going to the gym for a lot of years, and I really enjoy being in the gym. But I have had multiple conversations with people who force themselves to go to the gym, and every conversation about them training is them not being happy with it. And I've had the exact same conversation. You got to do something else. You've got to find something that you actually love doing.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah.
You do. Because
Yeah.
as kids, we grew up in, well, I was born in Zambia, but we did a lot of schooling in South Africa, and school sports was compulsory. And if you couldn't play school sports, you had to have a doctor's note. And it was kind of like the peer pressure was nobody wanted to have that doctor's note. Everybody played sport. There were like one or two people for medical reasons that couldn't play sport. So we grew up playing sport. And then when I left school, it was the most natural thing to go to find something, aerobics classes or whatever. When I lived in London, I actually went to adult ballet for a while, which was, it was painful. I was like, wow, this really hurts. I couldn't walk for days. And then living in Spain, I lived in Spain in the 90s, so I had a bike, so cycling and whatnot. But you've got to find something that you look forward to doing. Because the minute your exercise becomes a chore, then you're no longer training for life. And this is something that I really want women who are, especially now getting older, to have this mentality. You need to train for life. It's not just that one event. It's not just that half marathon goal, tick the box. You need to train for life. So you need to train in something that you look forward to getting out 3, 4, 5 times a week and go doing. Because when you get to 70, you see these ladies out here, they're all on mobility scooters and Zimmer frames. I'm like, how did that happen with a Mediterranean diet? And nobody has an elevator in their houses here. We've got 3, 4 flights of stairs. People are doing stairs every day. And yet I see also a commercial potential here when I eventually move here to get all these ladies. They're doing aqua aerobics and stuff in the local pool, but there are so many overweight and disabled older women here. So it's inspirational for me because I don't want to be that way. And I also, when I get here permanently, I want to help those women if we can.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. So that's the next business. Well, Train for Life, I think that's the perfect end to this live.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to finish off on? Any last words before we finalize, and I'll wrap it up?
Yeah, I just want to say that from a sleep perspective, I've had a couple of coaching sessions with Carla, and the tips that you get.
I should just say this wasn't planned. She's doing this ad hoc.
Yeah, no. I thought I would just put this in there because sleep is one of the most important parts of successful training. You cannot function at work with your kids, with presenting at work, driving to work, or then going training with it if you haven't had enough sleep. And especially in menopause, if you're not getting recovery, it's going to be a terrible time. So you need to be looking at how to how to sleep properly is that the last piece of advice I would give.
Absolutely. Those the key health pillars, right? Sleep, nutrition, movement, and stress management. They're so important. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
joining me.
Thank
For
you.
anyone listening in, if you're not following Sarah, please do. She's amazing. She's doing some really cool things. She's a lovely human. We've worked together. I mean, she's coached me, I've coached her, so we've got like this nice relationship. She also has a book, which I'm assuming people can see the link from your Instagram account.
You can, yeah. In my link tree, as they call it, the link in bio.
Yep. And yeah, as we've talked about, so Sarah, she coaches in Dubai, she coaches in Spain, but she also coaches online. So if you are, well, you said that you coach really males and females of any age. So yeah, if you're looking at endurance training, if you're looking at getting into triathlon of any length, definitely reach out to her. And I reckon that's it. We'll post this video.
Thank you very much, Carla.
My pleasure. It's so nice to chat to you. I feel like we could actually talk for a very long time.
Yes. And everyone else is going, right, are these two going to stop now?
I know.
It's time to get to work.
That's okay. It was really more
thanks
just
for joining, everyone. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See ya.